Well, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Drew and Dragons YouTube channel where we conquer the art of digital 21st century game mastering, whatever you want to call it, but we do it one video at a time. We're making another player's perspective. I only had one game this week, so I was able to play as Ekar. And I'll go over my notes. I'll tell you a little bit of what happened, some key highlights that I felt like the DM did a really good job, some takeaways, and tie it up and see what I took from it and how I'm going to take that experience and I'm going to use it to become a better game master for my players. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Thank you so much for coming on by. Please hit that like button, subscribe button, and comment below what your favorite part is and what you think I should cover. So this is Ekar. We know him, we love him. He is a level 4 paladin, Oath of the Ancients, playing in the Phandelver and below Shattered Obelisk. So we'll go to my notes. Boom. Again, Notion is the tool that we're using, so this will be next week's notes. Session 9, we had a player come back. Didn't really have any first thoughts. So the first part, we were in the city of Thundertree, because again, in that quest line, we were finished Cragmaw Keep, we went back to Phandalin, we were able to bring Gundren back, and again, there's spoilers for this campaign if you are worried about that. I already gave it away. Oh, no. But, make sure to not follow. But this is from the perspective I'm going to be using to hopefully be running this campaign into, I want to do like the Vecna, or we'll see. I need to go read that book still. But yeah, again, this is really, what were some of the key elements that we used? It was a lot. We were on the Thundertree top-down map for most of the encounter. It was a really good session. So, but we started off with the introduction of our missed player from last session coming back. And then instantly seeing a young green dragon land on a tower nearby. Again, level 4 characters, so no interest in fighting that Venom thing. We see Rydoff, the druid that we were meant to come and see after, the session before we had cleaned out one little area of ash zombies. So we move south, we talk to Rydoff. Rydoff tells us about, look out, there's dragon, the cult of the dragon on the far other side of the town. Which is the southeast side of the town, and we then start to move around. We have we have like kind of like a chaotic, stupid character that he just likes to dick around. He has a mage hand that he kind of has personified, and that he does like puts the mage hand places in it. We see a bunch of spider webs, and he like plucks it, and of course then we all need stealth rolls. Ekar's wearing plate, so it's disadvantage. I only roll 1 die and it's a nat 1. Don't need to do much. Spring into combat, I get attacked, able to use I'm a Witherbloom background, so I have a free cast of shield today. I use that I don't get hit, and then our druid, our Furbolg druid, actually uses his action to cast Speaks with Animals, and starts to try to reason with the spider, and inevitably inevitably falling out of combat because the Furbolg druid was able to convince him to be a friend. First building covered with webs, sold by a dense thicket of trees. Ekar rolls a nat 1, like I just said. Sneak on the spider and jitter. Use shield. Light drinker. Uses speak with animals. The spider ends combat, right? So we gain somewhat a new ally. But next are new enemies. After meeting the spiders, we kind of continue. You can see I start taking snips. Like Panther, which is our roguish character. He's just like looking at buildings as much as he can. And then we finally get to the cultist building in the bottom right. We approach the cultist building from below. And then we have Alistair the wizard, but he's an enchanter wizard. And so he's very much wants to be tricking people. He's like an aberrant mind sorcerer that doesn't know that he wants to be an aberrant mind sorcerer, but that's all right. Aberrant, whatever you want to call it. Aberrant. It's aberrant, I believe. An aberrant mind sorcerer, which is what Last Harvest is, but, I digress. The other character we will be talking about in these recaps. But again, that session was canceled, so we're only talking about Ekar today. Alistair pushes forward, and he goes up and starts talking, but he is able to talk really, really nicely, and then cast Charm Person on the guard that talked to him. He's like, well, I'll be back in a minute. I'm part of the cult. Hold here. I need to meet with Favrik, your boss. He then brings me, Ekar, the emerald gemstone dragonborn, and we walk up, and then all this is a cool moment where the DM is just leaning into cool scenarios in his own mind, which is clear, right? Where he's like, oh, I can see the cultists seeing this. Their whole goal is to appease the Venom Fang. And then a different green. Now again, he might have rolled an insight check, or he might have been like, "Well, you're a gemstone dragon, not a chromatic dragon." Could he have made it a little bit harder for me to have been literally revered? They saw me, and I was his bodyguard, but then like all the cultists are like then bowing to me. And I made a joke as a player, like above board. I'm like, oh, this is a test for Ekar, because again, he's lawful neutral or lawful good. With Eldath, the like goddess of nature, being his his deity, but he hasn't really. I just worry about acting in ways that could break your oath, and acting in ways that could have negative consequences on that. Although we'll get into it later. I have some thoughts about Ekar and the build. So yeah, as the next preparing to kill the cult. So we move up there, and we thought what we talked about is like, okay, we're going to come in, and then you guys are going to burst through the bottom. That's not what ends up happening. I send a message to Alistair as he's talking to him, and I'm like, hey, let's try to convince them to go in front of the dragon, and then we can try to get the dragon to kill them, and that could be some sort of like offering or something. We could try to get the dragon to help us do that. So we walk in, we have a brief interaction with the bad guy. They're like, sure, yeah, no, like, sounds like you guys are here to help us. We're going to go do that. Sounds great. After some talking with him, I didn't say a word. We march towards the dragon, and inevitably all of us are coming up. Alistair and I up in front. We then, the dragon asks for a confession. Then it's right here. I kind of step up to this guy, and I crit him, just straight up smash him in the head. His head goes to pieces. He asked me to get closer. He requires a tribute of gold that I didn't really have enough, and I didn't want to give him I could give him my plate that we bought in town, but that's like 750 gold. I don't want to give him that shit. So I was trying to figure out that middle ground. Then a bunch of blights come up. The very first one, I failed a strength saving throw to get restrained, as you see right here. The dragon kind of just does nothing after he, as you can see with all those skulls, he did just take our sacrifice of all the cultists, them being killed there. We combat with the blights and able to slay all of them pretty easily. Alistair used a caustic brew, which was good. He hit a couple of the blights. I tried to get out, it just didn't work. We were able to then turn this into a call out. This is where again we just love. I mean, Notion is the best, man. If you haven't used it, I definitely would suggest it. We got rid of a gold elf statue, a gold chalice, some gold and silver, and then a golden necklace that we found in the town. He is appeased by the offering, and we suggested that rather than staying in Thundertree, because both Light Drinker and I were Light Drinker and I were told we're part of the Emerald Enclave. We were told by what's her name? What's up here? Rydoth. We were told by Rydoth that if we were able to clear this place of Venomfang, that we would get not just one level up to Spring Warden, I think it is, but to like Fall Warden or something like that, which is they're using, they being the DM is using like a factions guide for Faerun, and we were able to have that as part of our backstory. So him and I both just picked Emerald Enclave, which worked out well. He's a Spores Druid, and he's cool. I like that character. The player knows his build, and it's always fun to have that. We tell him to go to Kragmaw Castle, and he obliges. He took his bag, and he left, and then we ended session on the note of we're going to go find Rydoth. We killed the blights. The spiders came up, and kind of said, we will stay, but, we're not going to hurt you as long as you don't hurt us. And so my last, I was able to mostly, if not fully, clear Thundertree of cultists, spiders and blights, sending the Dream Dragon Venomfang to inhabit Kragmaw Castle. Light Drinker makes friends with the Great Spider. He then begins to point Alistair about his knowledge of gun. Yeah, so this is where that that wizard, and he's apparently chaotic evil, and apparently, you know, I wasn't here for the first part of it, but even in the first interactions when he was there, he was acting in ways that were maybe not to the benefit of the party. So there was some pointed role play questions of like, what is your point? And then we ended with Light Drinker getting a crit insight check on seeing the nature of this master that he keeps on talking about. And so that was where the DM did a good job there, and I think, and this is, you know, one of the takeaways, was, you know, leaning into a cliffhanger, like saying, "Oh, that he rolled a crit," and instead of answering the question and ending on that note, he used it as a hook to get us into the next week. And beyond that, I mean, good combats. We had a little bit. It was really, we combated with the blights. We had a quick combat with the spiders. We had good, you know, tense role play moments with the cultists. We were able to convince them and feel pretty powerful to the extent of like, okay, we were able to manipulate the environment, manipulate them into going there. And so overall, I think, I mean, all of us came away having a really good time, it felt like. So, what are the takeaways? Again, I really liked the cliffhanger at the end. I really liked when I felt like the DM didn't necessarily have any preconceived notions of this, especially this is a module. He could, you know, I don't know what's in front of him. I'm choosing not to do that. I'm going to follow behind. With enough, like, I haven't even still done that because I don't want to get spoilers and I don't want to metagame like that. Because you know, it's not fun. I wouldn't want to be a DM. I would be very upset if, luckily I do a lot of homebrew, like Theros and Mythmen are all in here, and it's all, you know, kind of me predetermining it, which again, if you are a game master and you find this somewhat useful, going to Let's Prep, I'll be making that video. That video should be coming out on Wednesdays, typically, depending on their schedule, because last week it was supposed to come out on Wednesday. It didn't come out on Wednesday because we had to cancel session because of them. And so it got pushed to this Wednesday. These are going to typically come out on Fridays, where hopefully I'll be able to talk about one, if not two. You know, I have one weekly and one bi-weekly, so at least one typically, but you know, there might not be videos, who's to say. And wrapping it all up, I really do think that, you know, he got me. I'm very excited for the next session. I think he did a really good job of, especially, you know, you look and he leaned into Light Drinker, used a whole action to cast Speak with Animals. There's some DMs, I'm sure, that with that would have been like, man, sucks to suck, you shouldn't have used your action like that, these guys are going to fight. He decided not to do that, and I thought it's a good decision. I think that, you know, again, letting your players have alternative ways to conquer a problem outside of murder is helpful to not cultivate murder hobos. Like, you know, what happens if he did that and he's like, okay, next time I didn't get to, like, I'm just gonna kill him, whatever. It's not worth me wasting my, you know, my spell slot. It's not. So there's big decisions being made there that, you know, might be easily overlooked. And I felt like he engaged everybody really well. He was able to give Alistair what he wanted by trying to be sneaky. I leaned in. I messaged the DM after. I know this is the kind of what I was alluding to about Ekar's build. He's level 4 Paladin. He's gonna go level 5, probably level 6. I think I need to go level 6 Paladin before I switch. But then I'm gonna be going Hexblade. And once I go Hexblade, I threw out the idea. Well, maybe Venomfang can be my patron, and that would be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool if I could, you know, take my hammer and you can have my shield, and he could make me have a pact weapon, or I can, you know, cultivate that relationship. It'd be interesting to see. So threw that out to the DM. Love that. I mean, I love it when players come to me with ideas and be like, hey, this is what I'd like to do. So hopefully he liked that as well. And that's really it. Again, if you made it this long, thank you so much for taking the time. Hopefully, you know, there are a couple things that we can definitely take away each time that we play on how we can be better in fulfilling the fantasy for our players. Again, it was a good map. We spent most of the time on the Thundertree map, so I was looking at that most of the time. We were moving around, and he was pausing if there was, you know, if we moved too far, or, you know, there was definitely that tension that you like to have of that consequence to action that we're supposed to be doing as game masters. So yeah, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.